Hey everyone, it's that guy over there bringing you, I guess this is part 4 of our Codex review here, which is the Elite section. Personally, this is probably one of the neatest sections for me. Sometimes armies have like a section that they skip over a lot. Uh, for me, Tyranids, you take your HQs, and then I tend to like to load up on Elites. So, um, there's a lot of the coolest, most fun units to play are in the elite section. Um, or like a lot of your there's the lictors are my favorite model. I had 13 of them before lictor chain even was a thing. Fully painted and everything. But then you got your support units like zoanthropes and venomthropes and um, some other units that we'll talk through now. So first up, we will do lictors. I think it's the model that you see here in the picture, which I think is an awesome picture, by the way. But all right, so lictors. Just as a preface for this, lictors have really made a huge comeback, especially with Sean Naden winning with Lictor Shame. Really, the trick to them is that you can take them as solo models, and they have just so many rules, and their stats are so strong um, that they really allow you to do a lot of things on the table. And with like the Dawn and Maelstrom objectives, lictors have become a lot better because they can deep strike without scattering and infiltrate, and so they can run around and hold a lot of objectives. So for progressive scoring missions, that's really powerful. So that's why lictors are really powerful right now. Not necessarily because they're like invincible or they'll never die or they'll kill a lot of things. They'll kill quite a few things, but they're not like Thunderwolf Cavalry where they're just gonna rampage over everything. So anyway, Lictor, weapon skill 6, ballistic skill 3, strength 6, toughness 4, wounds 3, initiative 6, attacks 3, leadership 10, and 5 plus save. They are 50 points, so they're pretty easy to fit into a list to round it out. You can take them as little solos, or you can take them up to 3 models. They're infantry. They have rending claws, scything talons, flesh hooks. So I said they have 3 attacks, but really they have 4 attacks. Again, it's every entry, especially the close combat oriented models, are going to be like that. And then they get grenades for free. It comes with it. Special rules: deep strike, fear, fleet, hit and run, infiltrate, instinctive behavior, lurk. Really like their Achilles tendon. I don't understand why they have instinctive behavior. Move through cover, stealth, very bulky. So they have a huge section of rules, which really gives them their power. They can deep strike. Well, let me talk about it. So chameleon skin. A lictor does not scatter when arriving from deep strike reserve, so they can drop in behind something. The idea is that they didn't actually deep strike. They were always there. They were just blending in, and then they suddenly appeared. And then Pheromone Trail, if a friendly unit from Codex Tyranids arrives on the battlefield via deep strike, it will not scatter, as long as the first model is placed within 6 inches of a model with this special rule. Note, the model with Pheromone Trail must already be on the table at the start of the turn for this to be used. So this rule used to largely be unused before because lictors had to deep strike before, but now they have infiltrate. So now I can see you actually using that. Because they'll be on the table when stuff starts to come in. They're really great. Hit and run. I need to probably do just a separate video on lictors, but like where you want to be with lictors is have a whole bunch of single lictors running around where they charge into something, maybe kill a couple things, last your opponent's turn, and then like hit and run and catapult themselves forward into like a support unit. So you want them to be fighting devastators or really the weakest units in your opponent's army. That's where they're best. Or trying to shoot rear armor if that's a possibility. Really like lictors, probably my favorite model. All right, so zoanthropes. This is like one of your synaptic little support units. He's weapon skill 3, ballistic skill 4, Strength 4, Toughness 4, Wounds 2, Initiative 3, Attacks 1, Leadership 10, Save 5 plus. He's infantry. They've got the Brotherhood of Psychers special rule, Shadows in the Warp, Synapse creature, very bulky. A Zone Throat Brood follows all the rules. So it's a Psychic Brood. Zone Throat Brood follows all the rules for Brotherhood of Psychers, except that the unit has Mastery level 2, so they get 2 powers. In addition, if the Brood of Zoanthropes uses the Warp Blast power, the number of shots fired is equal to the number of Zoanthropes in that brood. So if you have a unit of 3, you can actually take them up to units of 5 now. They would get the number of shots equal to the number of models in their unit, because each one is blasting it off. And then they have a 3+ invulnerable save, and a Zoanthrope Brood always knows the Warp Blast psychic power. The unit can generate 1 additional power from the powers of Hive Mind. That's always been their thing, is the psychic bolt, to try to blow up a tank or something, or mow down some Marines. So they're 50 points also. They're really great for like hiding in a bastion or something and holding down your backfield. And then if you take 1, because he's master level 2, he gives you 2 little dice that your Hive Tyrants can use. So really that's how they're used a lot. They do see play, but usually as solos in the back trying to hold down the field. So we'll go into the Tyranid guards section. I'll talk about Tyrant guards here as well, even though I should have probably covered them in the HQ section. So Tyrant guards are Web skill 5, Ballistic skill 3, Strength 5, Toughness 6, Wounds 2, Initiative 4, Attacks 2, Leadership 7, Save 3+. They can be taken. Each Hive Tyrant unlocks a brood of them, but they don't have to be joined together anymore. They have stats similar to a Hive Tyrant, just a little bit less strength and weapon skill. Yeah, so they used to mirror Hive Tyrant stats, but now they're a little worse. But the thing to look at is that they've got a toughness 6 and a 3+ save, which is really nice. Their infantry, they have rending claws and scything talons, instinctive behavior, feed, and very bulky. And then they have the blind rampage if a Hive Tyrant or the Swarm Lord is killed while it's part of a Tyrant Guard unit. From the end of the So the Hive Tyrant is killed. From the end of that turn, the surviving Tyrant Guard have the Furious Charge and Rage special rule for the remainder of the battle, which is nice. It gives them strike 6 and then additional attacks. Because again, they got attacks 2, but really there's 3 because it's 2 weapons. Shield Wall, single Hive Tyrant or Swarm Lord may join the unit of Tyrant Guard exactly as if it were an independent character. A Hive Tyrant or the Swarm Lord with any unit that contains at least 1 model with this special rule automatically passes Lookout sword rolls. So because he's an independent character, the way I see it is he could probably just leave the unit, right? Because he's just like an independent character, so he can leave it, whereas before he was kind of like stuck. Sean Naden did really well with these just because they're like little mini lictors running around. They kind of reverse their strength and toughness and get a much better save. So he had a couple of these running around. I've done that before too. They're pretty hard to kill, and I have the older versions, which you don't want to model for advantage, but they got a lot bigger. So in the past, they used to be like little teeny turtle-looking things. So mine are pretty easy to tuck away somewhere. And with feed, instinctive behavior, they're not going to run away. And because he's a single model, he's not going to like hit himself. So they're all right. They're good for holding down a little table quarter. Hive Guard, one of the kind of downfalls of the Codex. Hive Guard, you used to see everybody take 9 Hive Guard. Now I really haven't seen anybody take them, but they're Web skill 4, Blow skill 3, Strength 5, Toughness 6, Wounds 2, Initiative 2, Attacks 2, Leadership 7, and a save of 4+. They're 55 points, so they're 5 more points than a Tyrant Guard. Their infantry, they get the Impaler Cannon, which is the 2-shot, Strength 8 AP4, ignores cover, and line of sight rules. So that's what really was the selling point for them. but they've increased 5 points and they dropped a ballistic skill, and you can choose to give them a 5 more points for a electroshock cannon, the one that is a haywire blast. Um, I think people don't take them out of spite, to be honest. But haywire is pretty good, and you can take them in a drop pod now in a Tyranids and drop them down. Throw a couple of haywire hits in the back rear armor or something. Um, they're all right. Uh, or just use the Impaler cannon. Strength 8 AP4 is all right against the right army. Um, yeah, so they've got the instinctive behavior hunt, which means they could get pinned and stuff, but uh, they're still okay and they're very bulky. So um, Hive Guard, they're more of a shooting based unit. It's just they got a little bit worse at doing that. So I think that's why a lot of Tyranids players aren't taking them, because again, it's the spite factor. All right, Venom Thropes. Venom Thropes are Web Skill 3, Ballistic Skill 3, Strength 4, Toughness 4, Wounds 2, Initiative 3, Attacks 2, Leadership 6, Save 5 plus. They're infantry. Their weapons are just lash whips. So it's like they just get +3 initiative. They don't get they don't get a bone sword with it, which is what their wacky fun inflatable arms are, is these lash whips. And they have Toxic Miasma. They're like one of 2 units in the Codex that have it. Instinctive Behavior Lurk. They have Poison 2 plus with their close combat weapons. They have Shrouded and very bulky. And then their main selling point here is the Spore Cloud. All friendly models from Codex Tyranids within 6 inches of at least one Venom Thrope have the Shrouded special rule. It says models, but if one model in the unit has Shrouded, it confers to all of them. If the edition changes before we get a new Codex and they change that rule, I can see a lot of Tyranid players being upset because that's the gimmick right now is these one guy's shrouded, so they're all shrouded. It doesn't give the unit shrouded directly. These guys are really cool. They can give you 3+ cover saves pretty easily. And for units like the Flying Hive Tyrants, if you jink, they get a 2+ cover save. So they're 45 points. They're pretty well worth it, especially if you're taking like a Horde style list, or just really need a particular unit to live. You can put some Venom Thropes behind them and keep them safe. So I have like 12 Venom Thropes. They're really good. But you really do have to build your list with them in mind. You can't just throw them out there, because if they got nothing good to protect, then what are you doing with them, you know? Alright, I believe the Haruspex is the only choice. Never actually used the Haruspex. Yeah, there he is. He is a Web Skill 3, Bull Skill 3, Strength 6, Toughness 6, Wounds 5, Initiative 3, Attacks 3. He's got... Oh, he only has 1 set of close combat. Wow, that's terrible. Okay, he's got just 3 attacks, Leadership 7, Save 3 plus. He's a monstrous creature. He's got Grasping Tongue, which is a Strength 6 AP2 shot with precision shots. It's his tongue that shoots out. He eats people. Acid Blood, which again, if you get like just completely murdered by like, let's say a bunch of wraiths come in and rend you a whole bunch of times and just destroy you, you could hit the whole unit a bunch of times, but it comes for free. You don't have to pay for it, but still, that's the only reason I would take it on him. Crushing Claws, which give him Strength 7 actually, and Armor Bane. Fearless, Instinctive Behavior Feed. He's a feeder beast, so if the Haruspex inflicts at least 1 unsaved wound in the assault phase, then at the end of that phase, it recovers a single wound lost early in the battle. Handy, it's like it will not die, which is better in some situations, but worse in others, because you automatically get it as opposed to rolling 5+, but you can roll 5+ even outside combat and get it if you had it will not die. Rapacious Hunger, in the turn which the Haruspex charges, every unsaved wound that inflicts in close combat immediately allows it to make an additional attack. These bonus attacks cannot generate further attacks. Wounds that inflict instant death only generate 1 bonus attack. Note that wounds caused by hammer wrath, acid blood, or tail biomorph do not benefit from this rule. Not sure exactly which tail biomorphs he can take. He's a 160 points, and he can take the side tail biomorph. I don't know. I'm not really a huge fan of the side tail or any of the tail biomorphs, to be honest. Um, so Haruspexes, they're kind of like your distraction Carnifexes. They've got more wounds, one more wound than Carnifex, and but they're just in general a little bit weaker. That's terrible. They only have 3 attacks. Normally they have Scything Talons or something that'll give him another one, but yeah, he just has Crushing Claws. I have never taken them, to be honest, and I didn't even buy any of the models, so I guess that tells you how I feel about them. They're not particularly. You can use them. There's a use for them to drop in, be a distraction, charge in, get some more wounds back. Just be a little harder than average to kill, but um, they're just not super useful. And then finally, Pyrovores. So Pyrovores have a horrible reputation in 40k as being one of the worst units in the book or in the game. Not sure why that is. I mean, imagine if I told you you could take a unit of 2 to 6 Space Marine Scouts, one of which got a heavy flamer for 40 points for 2 of them, and you could like put them in a drop pod and stuff. That's 3 heavy flamer templates. I think Space Marines players might actually take that. That's essentially what they have as far as rules, and they did get a little bit better and a little bit worse in the new book. I remember I took them to CogCon one year, and they got me first blood in every game in the drop pod. So I kind of like them, to be honest. So Web skill 3, Build skill 3, Strength 4, Toughness 4, Wounds 3, Initiative 2, Attacks 2, Leadership 6, Save 4 plus. They are 40 points a model. They're infantry. They have the Flame Spurt, which is their little fire cannon on their back that shoots out heavy flamer. They have Acid Blood, Acid Maw, which lets them trade all their attacks for Strength 5 AP2 attack. That's one of the things that got worse. They used to just get ignores armor on all their attacks. I think they actually had 3 attacks before. Maybe not. No, I think they had 2. Never mind. Okay, Instinct Behavior Feed. This is bad because usually I take them in units of 3, and if they fail, they could um, just eat each other. Or they used to have a rule where if they fed, they could still fire their guns, but because it was like a separate creature that just was attached to them. But they don't have that anymore. They have so it's Instinct Behavior Feed and very bulky. They have the volatile rule. If the Pyrovore is slain by a wound that inflicted instant death, every unit suffers a Strength 3 AP- hit for each model, excluding Pyrovores within D6 inches of the slain Pyrovore. Resolve damage before removing the Pyrovore as a casualty. So it's a terrible written rule. So basically what's saying is that if it's killed by instant death, every unit, it doesn't say that within 6 inches, because it says for each model within these 6 inches. So the way it's written is it says like basically every unit on the table suffers a Strength 3 hit for each model, excluding Pyrovores within D6 inches of the slain Pyrovore. It's just really poorly worded, which is kind of funny that you got to walk over to your buddies playing at the next table over and be like, "Excuse me, but my Pyrovore died. Now you have to take strength, this many Strength 3 hits on all your units." Just because it's a poorly written rule. So how do I use them? I put them in a drop pod. They drop in, and 3 heavy flamers, especially for an army like Tyranids that really doesn't have a way of dealing with ignores cover or anything really better than a 5+ armor save. They're actually pretty good. I've used them against the new Necrons. It's not as good because it's like, oh, you ignored my first save, but here's my second save, and I get to reroll. But it's pretty tasty to plop. Like especially if you can get 3 or 2 of their Ghost Arcs under the Flamer template, you can get 3d6 strength 5 AP4 hits on each unit inside of there. So I like them. They're certainly not the worst unit at 40k. Uh, they are actually kind of viable, I think. They're really great against like Eldar or something, um, where you can like drop in and kill some Pathfinders or um, Space Marine Scouts. They do really good against. Really, there's a lot of armies that Tau. And there's a lot of armies that would feel the burn. Um, so at one game I was playing against Deathwing, and I actually dropped them behind a Dreadnought, and I got lucky and immobilized it with my heavy flamers, and then just flamed it for the rest of the game in the rear armor, which was a lot of fun. I don't know. I take power wars just to be different, but they've actually been kind of useful for me. That being said, the model is like $35. It's like buying a Rhino. That's how expensive they are. So keep that in mind before you run out. Like, oh, that guy over there said I should buy them. I don't know. Maybe proxy them before you run out and buy them because they're pretty expensive. So I think that brings us to the end of the elite section. Hope you enjoyed. I think the clear winner here is the Lictor, just because the guy who won the 11th Company GPT in the LVO was using them, but they're also just really fun. The fluff's really cool. So anyway, that's all I have for today. I'll come back with the next couple of videos, so please like, comment, and subscribe. Thanks.